So I'm at chapter 13, and there were 15 chapters, right?
16, I think.
16?
Yep.
And that's what we talk about. That the last one might be like the outro, finishing one.
Just like a
Yeah, the last chapter is the
cutscene.
very last section of the game.
Okay. Well,
So I don't think it's as long as the rest.
Also, if you're in chapter 13, then you already played what I think is the best section in the game, which was chapter. How did you like the lurker?
you mean the one where I had to walk over the runes and then escape and then show the light to him so he would get stunned for a short amount of time? That guy? The one
That
from
guy,
the
but the
painting.
one in the museum.
Oh my god.
That section is the scariest section in the game.
It was like I didn't know which one to choose from, so I died a lot in that section. Like,
well, the part of the reason why it's the scariest section in the game as well, though, is partly because they don't explain very well what you're. Like, I think they only explain when you're running away from the lurker on that other mission. I think you've already done it.
the one underground with the woman that you're playing as the woman.
Yep, that one. On that one, they explain that you're meant to shine the flashlight to stun. Because
The scary thing as well is that in the part with the woman you see the lurker, so you know what it is, and in the part with in the museum when you look at him, it like drains your sanity, so you can't look at him for too long, so you don't know exactly where it is or what it is.
yeah, and that's the other thing. Apparently, looking at it makes it know where you are. So it was really easy, like really hard to avoid him. You just had a lot of stuff going on at the same time. It made it really hard to play it again.
I did like the sequence though in the museum. The only thing that I didn't understand was which weapon I had to choose.
Oh no, I really liked it as well. I just have an issue with the game in general, where that one's like the best section in the game, and that's not a problem by itself. It's just that it's only a good section because the game doesn't explain very well what.
But now I think I need to find the woman in the whaling station. I think it is.
Hither thou shalt be freed. Sarah is with those bastards. I gotta find her quick.
The difference though, if he's talking, first he says, "Hither thou shalt be freed," and then suddenly he's like, "Panic, panic!" Like you're like, sure, okay, that switched fast.
It's also a shame that that's the only really good section in the game. Because outside of the one where you're running away from the lurker as a girl,
A rope.
The lurker never really is a direct threat, besides those two sections. He never really shows up more than that. There's like that one time in the hospital where he shows up, but it's just a puzzle. So long as you don't run out of lantern light, he never actually comes after you.
I didn't know that was a possibility.
Yeah, that's how it worked, and I found out very quickly. I never even had him show up. Just because of how the sounds play. Just because of how the sounds played when you were running low of lantern fuel, I basically figured out, you just have to keep looping to make sure you don't run out of fuel.
Looks like a page from a log from 1847.
And he won't show up so long as you have fuel.
Okay. I just found a log page as well. We are starving. The fish seem to have deserted these waters. If I don't quickly find an answer to this crisis, Fitzroy could well set off a mutiny. Each day more and more men believe in his tales of a miraculous catch. Merciful God help me. We sighted an enormous whale further to the south, the biggest we've ever seen. Fitzroy keeps telling the man that this is the miraculous catch he promised them, and we will catch it and bring it back home to feed our families. How do I put away my lantern again? That, okay. Out of curiosity, have been picking up everything, so I probably don't have the best sanity levels.
Don't worry too much about it. I'll talk to you.
What?
I'll talk to you about the sanity system once the game ends, because before that it's a spoil.
Okay.
But it was one of the things that did piss me off.
I'll be lucky if it's still sharp enough.
A rusty knife. So I'm now just gathering items.
Doesn't work. It mentions the Leviathan.
Log
How
4.
it drove the sailors mad.
The whole crew has descended into madness. They speak of dreams, visions, and the nightmarish city of a sleeping god. Madness. I lock myself in my cabin. I won't be able to hold out for long. Fitzroy has 12 men on his side. They sacrificed everyone who tried to stop them to their new god. I beseech you, Almighty God, to have pity on our souls. This will be my last prayer. I can hear them whispering. Okay.
I will say one thing, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this. The actual story of the game is pretty good.
The story
Has some pretty
itself,
good twists.
yeah. But I
Has
don't.
some really good twists.
I just don't know the entirety yet.
I mean, most of it's been uncovered by now, I think. But I'm not going to spoil the story until you have everything.
This should stop the cart from moving. This should help me get the tank swinging.
Is there anything I'm supposed to do here, though? So I found 2 logs. I found number 1 and number 4.
I need something to cut the rope to release the tank against the door.
And that probably awakened all the demons everywhere.
Crash.
There's a hand in the wall.
I think my game just crashed mid-combat.
Sounds like Skyrim to me.
It's been really unstable. And the worst part is, it used to be really stable, but there's like a memory patch that I can't use right now because for some reason, if I do use it, it just crashes my game.
A memory patch?
Yeah. There was a memory patch I used to use that right now I don't. But, and using it solved most of my crashing problem. But then it started crashing because of a NIF file or something. Which didn't make a lot of sense because when I removed the memory patch, the game stopped crashing. When I used the memory patch, it would crash constantly.
Weird.
I might just re-download it actually.
So I've got a question mark here. As if there's something I still need to find in this room. But I don't see anything anywhere. Ah, there it is.
Fuller
Okay.
was a crew member too. Interesting.
The morning is biting cold. This creature made us work hard. Half of my crew is dead. I've never seen such a thing. I do not even know how to describe what happened. It's as if the creature was talking inside our heads. Some of my men went crazy and jumped overboard. This thing is not a whale. It's far bigger. I don't even know how to describe it. It practically gutted our ship with these tentacles. I don't know how. My harpoon finally pierced the skull of this monster. The crew is in a sorry state. Fuller looks after the injured, but some will not recover. That's turn page log 2, so now there's only one left that I don't have. Or did I find them all? No. Log 1, 4, and 2, so I need 3 still. And if 4 is already in this part of the building, then it's probably gonna be in one of the rooms upstairs. Not here. Do you remember where you if you found those logs inside chapter 13, the first room? I guess I'll just go. What the fuck?
What is that thing? What is that thing?
Come closer.
No. That voice. You're the Leviathan. Sarah?
Was I supposed to go closer? Because it said go closer. Oh yeah, game saved. Okay, I guess.
Hello.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
I'm gonna set up the stuff in GTA Online.
Set up?
Who is this?
Yeah, like the
Motorbike
Requires
stuff.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
There's no room.
Okay.
So I can invite you
Who's
guys
there?
later.
Okay.
Your stubbornness at wanting to help others who would have deserted you is a weakness. Fate leads us inevitably to solitude, and in one's final moments, one is always alone. You can't escape it forever. It will always find its way. Damn it!
What the fuck?
An old log.
An old log. Okay. We have sailed from the island of Darkwater towards the north. Sailors say that these waters are haunted. I don't believe in these tales. It's not a good time for us. My men have seen the slightest trace of a whale for quite a while. If the season doesn't improve, they will no longer wish to serve on the Scylla. We are not the only hunters here. While we were looking for prey, we found dead whales, a dozen of them, drifting, their entrails exposed. They had been shred as if they had been attacked by a huge predator. It's very strange. Perhaps it is a sign from God, perhaps it is this good catch that we have long hoped for. We must find it, whatever the risk.
Belonging to the captain of the Scylla. The pages I found seem to be the missing ones. While the sailors were going insane, Fitzroy and the mutineers took over the ship and probably killed the captain.
I found log 3. Fitzroy encouraged the men all day. They are in shock and can't overcome their trauma. They say they can hear the screams of their comrades turn mad. Some of them hurt themselves in a desperate attempt to stop the visions that haunted them. Others chose to embrace them. Fitzroy is one of the latter. He named the beast Leviathan because he believes in his biblical nature. I told him to get rid of it before it's too late. This thing is not the work of God. Yes, looking at it is gonna drive me insane. I figured that.
He eat his flesh while he's still alive.
What's the point of this hidey hole?
That's a dead end.
Some of these things are really weird, by the way.
Also, if you're in the place with Leviathan, you're almost at the end of
I am in the place, but there's like this hatch that I can't seem to click on. It's not letting me.
Don't remember exactly what you had to do.
Crouch, it seems.
Game mechanics.
He's turning mad from claustrophobia or something.
Yeah.
Scary though.
You get panic from being in enclosed spaces when you're playing him. I think it's because of what happens in the cult when like he comes out and almost gets crushed alive. I think that made him get claustrophobia. At least that's when it starts
The
happening.
door is blocked on the other side.
Learn to obey.
Leviathan, why is this? Ugh. Learn to obey.
Ah, finally awake. How do you feel, Mr. Pierce?
Fuller! Son of a bitch! I'll kill you!
No, I'm not even really with you. Well, to be perfectly precise, I am with you. But not in this cell.
What have you done to me?
Me? Nothing, really. See, it's one of the exquisite effects of this incredible creature.
Leviathan!
I see you already know about it. Well, shall we begin?
The voice acting is not very great. It seems out of place the way he reacts.
Yeah, that's a problem that a lot of the Call of Cthulhu games have. Like, there's another game called Dark Corners of the Earth, which is still my favorite Call of Cthulhu game right now. And it has the same issue where the character either panics when he really shouldn't be panicking, or just is talking just fine when visually he's freaking out. Like your vision's all blurry, your sanity's like at 0, and he's just talking regularly with an NPC.
Let me take a sample from you.
It's just a problem with how a lot of these games try to portray
Spinal
insanity.
fluids. Don't feel. Who knows what I can make?
I killed him.
A necessary sacrifice that proves your determination.
Casually puts away the gun.
Yeah, just goes, I killed him, and then puts it in his jacket.
Well, that happened.
Oh, that happened.
The truth and be free.
Well. That works? How am I supposed to know what way is the real one?
There's a way you can do it. There's some hints.
Nothing's happening.
Are you at the part where you have to open the valves or something?
I think so, yeah. Cause I'm in like this dreamscape.
Yeah, you're in the valves part then.
So if I go closer over there, it makes things appear so I can't access that valve.
Basically, when you're... There's like a point of perspective where you can see the real path, and then when you get closer it just shows a fake. It also shows which valve's the real valve, and you just have to follow that, I think, from what I remember. It wasn't a very good puzzle, took me a while to figure it out. Especially because every time you fall down, I think it resets.
Yeah, it resets. And it's kinda wonky. Do I have to do that 3 times to get all 3 of the valves or something?
Basically.
Well, it's still the same path.
Nothing's happening.
So that's number 1, so how do I get to number 2?
Why is there a bear here now? Jesus Christ.
So it's proximity based.
So I'm walking across the road, I find a fucking troll, which I can't kill. I run away from that troll, I find 3 vampires, which I can't kill. Then when I escape those 3 vampires, I finally get killed by a bear. I love Requiem. Also, I seem to be able to have made the memory fix working.
You fixed the problem.
Yep.
And what exactly was it?
I'm not sure because I'm not at the location where it was crashing. And it was crashing because it was claiming there were corrupt NIF files. Which I haven't touched any NIF files. I did reinstall the entire game, like I reinstalled all my mod lists. And when I did that, it was still crashing. But then I removed the memory fix and it stopped crashing. So I re-downloaded all the memory files that I used, installed them again, and now everything seems to be working. But I'm not at the same location where it was crashing before. So I have no clue exactly what fixed it. Or if it's fixed.
It might still be crashing.
Yeah, I might get far enough and it starts crashing. Which would be slightly unfortunate.
Uh-oh.
Pierce! Fitzroy. Time to hoist the white flag. We're not gonna hurt you. I won't go without a fight. You think you're here of your own accord? Stay back, or I'll put a bullet in your head. Our supreme oracle has spoken. You will follow your destiny. What? In his awakening.
This is a fucking mess.
Clones. I fell in the
So
water.
Oh, rip.
Is that a good or a bad thing?
Actually, don't remember.
I see. You cannot escape my awareness.
I see you. This reminds me of one of the...
I followed your wanderings, your choices, your attempts to free yourself from destiny.
Enzos or something? With Queen Ashara.
And as I predicted, you have come to free me. Awaken and call him.
Chapter 14, Coastal Cave.
A bit like Subnautica.
What do you mean?
It's a bit like Subnautica as well.
Maybe it's 14 chapters, I don't remember.
This one says, Pierce finally met Leviathan in flesh and blood. The monstrous creature submitted him to a series of ordeals, at the end of which he decided that the detective was ready to face his destiny. Pierce blew up the whaling station, and after a final confrontation with Leviathan, he passed out. So, let's see what this brings us.
Yeah, maybe it's only 14 chapters, I don't remember, it's been a while. You might be at the end of the game right now.
That's a little bit underwhelming then.
Well, yeah. That's why I had a lot of bad things to say about that game. I really liked the story. I kind of liked the execution to an extent. But after chapter 6, everything just goes downhill.
Game saved.
But it's 14 normal chapters and then the ending is 50.
I can't hear the voice anymore.
This blurry vision is giving me a slight headache though.
You are trapped. Keep going.
My God.
This way. Stand up. Walk.
This is a cutscene.
Is somebody there? Hey, who are you? Where am I?
That's actually my problem with the game on a lot of fronts. By a lot of the things that the game does are done through
Are done what?
cutscenes. It's a bit of a shame.
Catch was a trap. Leviathan wanted to be found.
It's like the wobbly thing. Okay, I get it that you're like, but don't make it a whole sequence, in my opinion.
That too.
Because like, okay, do it for the first few steps, maybe until the cutscene, but afterwards make him walk normally, so it's easier for the player to get through the game. Because right now it's just a little bit obnoxious.
Yeah, feels bad. How does my blood drain spell work on the skeleton? Thinking.
Maybe you're draining marrow instead.
It will soon be time, Edward Pierce.
You are dead.
A vampire that thinks marrow.
None of this is real. I saw you dead, as I see you now. Am I crazy too?
I thought I was a vampire, not that I had
Don't you
leukemia.
understand? You couldn't die. You will stay alive until you've fulfilled your
Almost same
destiny.
thing.
No.
What I
Look
mean.
at me.
Damn it.
Look at me, Pierce. Dare tell me that you still don't believe it.
Doesn't help that these skeletons were attacking me in an area where for some reason my fucking frame rate tanked.
Cthulhu Ilia.
When I was 8, my little brother fell from the apple tree.
Like I'm unironically playing the game at 15 FPS right now.
That very day, I decided to become a doctor.
Not ideal.
I never reneged on my oath. That's what led me to Darkwater. The people here needed me. I died trying to save one of them. Help me give them a second chance. Embrace the power of this sleeping god.
You're out of your mind.
It's not just your life that is at stake. Many men and women have sacrificed themselves for this moment.
Colden.
You will not deprive them of their hope of a better life.
I saw what Leviathan did to Fuller. We will all die like him.
Her right
His
eye
life
is slightly
was
creepy,
written well before it started.
because when she
It
blinks you can see her eye through her eyelid.
to see the call.
Woof.
Yes,
Still not as bad as
it is your destiny.
that mission we did in GTA.
Yeah, where the woman just talking while the man was talking.
Yeah. There was two characters, and they were both talking, but it was only the mouth of the woman that moved whenever any of them were talking.
Yes,
So that was
all
fucking
your
creepy.
choices had the sole purpose of preparing you for the final decision.
I must make a choice.
Not just make a choice. The right choice.
Not yet, but soon. We have one more thing to accomplish.
What is it?
I must take you to Sarah Hawkins, our oracle.
The voice beyond the grave.
Sarah, I feel her calling me. Let us not wait any longer.
Not yet.
You have one last thing.
to accomplish.
So much accomplished things that they're saying. Always accomplish, and you haven't accomplished your destiny, and there's one more thing you have to accomplish.
Worry about your own.
Yeah.
No. No.
No one can fight their fate. Neither them.
I mean, it should be obvious what it is by now. I think they've given you every story hook that the game had so far, because you're just at the end of the game. But I'm still not gonna spoil it.
He's going insane.
Oh yeah. There's actually a lot of sanity hits that you take that you can't avoid in that game. There's only one that I missed in my playthrough, but I also read every Forbidden book.
I don't think I read every book.
Don't resist, Edward. They're already dead. There's nothing you can do. Just give in.
Does your sanity actually affect the ending, though?
Do you want me to talk about it?
Maybe at the end. Because I'm not done yet.
Finish the game and then I'll tell you basically everything that I found out while playing that.
Okay. Well, it's doing the wobbly thing again.
Yep.
It's probably to make it more eerie.
Yep, and it fails.
It's just annoying. Especially because it's
really
not
high hopes for
consistent.
this game.
It's not consistent because you go down the steps of like something and it's normal, and then when you start walking again, it's like wobbly.
I'll say one thing: I had really high hopes for that game, and it really shattered all my hopes for it really quickly. It was a $44 game. It's really short. Like, it's not nearly as long as something like Alien Isolation, which I think is way better.
Oh, I haven't played that yet. I own it as well.
Oh yeah, that's one game you should play. It's really good.
It's really good, but it's also like 4 hours.
Isolation? No, it's longer than that.
Nah, Isolation is short. Or is that the other one?
I think it's the other one that you're talking about.
I'm talking about the one where you play as Ripley's daughter.
The one where you have voice as well. That if you activate it, that when you make a sound, that the thing can also hear you.
Not even sure if Isolation has that.
I think so, because it also had motion controls at one point, depending on the console.
Maybe. But Isolation's really good. And it's more than 4 hours long. Maybe you can run it in 4 hours if you aren't scared of anything and you know how to abuse the AI.
I think I'll die a lot.
For the average player, beating Isolation takes up to at least 18 hours.
I'm at Alabaster Point now.
Then yeah, you're almost at the end of the game. Just do the last sequence.
Okay. After final confrontation, Pierce must go to the Alabaster Point where Sarah Hawkins is supposed to be waiting for him. There you must make decisions that could change the destiny of the world. Sounds like they put a lot of weight on this detective's shoulders, while he doesn't really seem like an interesting character.
There's a webpage called How Long to Beat, and they list Alien Isolation as 18 and a half hours if you just do the main story.
But there's so many sightings, aren't there?
Yeah, and then they say if you do the main story and the extra stuff, then it's 23 hours and a half, and if you do everything, then it's about 32.
Yeah, because you still have the side stories that aren't tied to the main game, where you actually play as Ripley in the original Alien. Like, they literally bring back the Nostromo and all the stuff shit she did in that movie, and you get to play.
That's cool.
Isolation is very easily one of my favorite horror games for of a long.
Mr. Pierce.
It has like one small sequence in the middle where it kind of loses tension
Jump to
because
conclusions. Is there not the
the
tiniest
main
spark
thing
a
of the
scientific
game's kind of
mind
not there
inside
for
of
that
detective
period of
skull
time,
yours?
What abject substance did you use
but then it
to
becomes
turn
good
her
again.
into an empty shell?
Abject substance.
But I think
The
that's
serum
isn't that supposed
extracted from Leviathan's oil
to be like that? Because
bestows
then
the
you
power of
actually
life.
calm down a bit
To me,
to
my
make it
body
scary
is
again.
nothing but the mortal vessel
Well,
of
yeah,
my
because
conscience.
when you do get to go back into the
more
horror aspect
answers
of
and secrets than your insignificant mind can grasp.
I like that part. I really hated it. In a good way, though. I'm not talking about disliking the game. I literally just hated being in that position.
And yet, here you are. You never give up.
That is not you. Not anymore. Not since your disappearance on the docks.
Ah, detective. So easy to fool you. So eager to rush to the rescue of a woman in distress.
You won't make me regret having tried to save people. I did what I could. Even for Colden.
Your efforts to change your destiny, although in vain, make you worthy of the fate that is yours. The day has come. You will be asked to choose.
There's a lot of cutscenes going on at the moment.
Yeah, you're at the finale.
You took everything from me. Wife, life, destiny. You forsook your right to a normal life. The moment you chose power over humanity. No one wants to see such an unbearable sight. You don't have the slightest idea of what you speak, of what I've been through. I have sacrificed my life to the one who sleeps. My marriage, my family, my own flesh. Why didn't Sarah choose me? Why is it your damn face on her painting?
Kill as much.
But you already know it. I can see that you will make the right choice.
I don't know. I don't know.
So, you've decided to shut your eyes. Find refuge in denial like a spooked child. You've lost your mind. And to think mankind's future is on your shoulders. None of this is real. Trust your gut.
If nothing's real, what are you?
I am a projection of your mind. What remains of that instinct that pulled you out of the trenches. You rejected her half-truths.
The music is kind of loud all of a sudden.
Boss fight time. Oh.
Sort of, I guess. I'm not there yet, though. There's probably a couple more cutscenes.
Right there.
I'm almost there.
I can't sprint either, so...
Slowly walking up the stairs.
Can't I just throw myself off this cliff instead?
frostbite spider just nearly
Here
killed
you
me.
are at last, Truth Seeker.
She was waiting for you. You were waiting for me.
Yes. When I finally discovered the truth, I knew you would come. All this time I was fighting it, afraid of what I might discover. But I was afraid of myself.
It's coming. What did you learn?
Listen to me, Edward Pierce, as I will deliver the truth.
I have seen things. Strange and horrifying, but always true.
Will you trust my words?
Yes.
One man only prepared by the trials and revelations, holds the power to change the world. Because I saw you in the dreams I share with my God. I recognize you for what you are.
Subtitles
Truth Seeker.
are not
One
what
of
they're
the rare
saying most of the
humans who
time.
is able to perceive fragments of his mind.
Oh yeah, I noticed that too. I hate when that happens.
I feel the truth in your words.
Because it was written. Or, as I like to see it, painted on the canvas of fate.
Pierce, help me!
These footsteps are not correct according to what I'm seeing as well.
That game made me very upset. That's mostly what I remember of that game, just being angry.
All of a sudden, he's all alone.
And none of the other people wanted to stop the council ritual. I was like,
His eyes are dark now, though.
Oh, did you do the final twist?
Mm-hmm. Dedicated to the founder. So someone died during production or something? Okay, last cutscene.
We doubled the dosage, as you asked us to, Doctor.
Good, thank you.
Okay. So I performed the counter ritual. So no matter how your sanity is, you can still choose to counter it.
Yep.
So your
No.
sanity does not matter?
Here's the thing, and this is what I don't know. I know that at least when I played the game, when I did the counter ritual, my guy went insane.
Yeah, which mine did as well.
I think that in any case, he just goes insane no matter how high your sanity is. I know that if you have maximum occultism, there's something you can tell her that gives you a different ending. And I think that if you have the max amount of stamina you can have at that point in the game, which it will still not be a lot, I think you can convince her from not doing the ritual at all. And aside from that, your sanity score literally doesn't matter to gameplay because it's just determined by how far along in the story you are. Because a lot of the sanity points that you see can't be avoided. There's only like one that can be avoided that I also missed in my playthrough, and the rest of them are just whether or not you read the books. I think there's a couple that depend on how high your investigation skill is, and that's about it.
The ending was
Do
a
you wanna?
little bit underwhelming too.
Oh yeah, and you wanna know what the biggest problem I have with that game is? And this is probably the thing that pisses me off the most.
Mm.
So really early into the game, like the game starts off really well, and I think up until chapter 6 it's perfect because you have the scene in the yeah, like you have the part with the cult where it builds up to the cult, and you get like caught in this rock slide. You
Mm-hmm.
get the asylum scene, and you get the lurker scene. The asylum scene particularly was really good because of how you get out of it. Like you see a guy that you thought died, bring you in. When you're out of your cell because that person lets you get away, she doesn't even give you anything. But supposedly you're meant to be wearing like the clothes of someone that's in the asylum. You're still wearing like your regular clothes, and that really like put me aback. Like, okay, this doesn't fit with what reality would be like. Am I hallucinating the fact that I'm still wearing my regular clothes? But no, it was just a failure in game design. Because one of the things that I thought would have been really interesting if they did was if like that part with the asylum made me doubt if anything that we had just gone through had actually happened at all, or if it was all in the main character's head.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have made that a main plot point. Is what you're witnessing real, or are you already insane?
But like the thing at the end is that you're in the asylum, but couldn't it also be then that everything from the moment we entered the asylum and got put in the asylum up till the end of the story, is that real?
No. And that's the part that pisses me off. The part where you're at the asylum at the very end is just an hallucination that you're getting from the Leviathan. Because it wants to know, like, it's basically testing your sanity, basically. And you can just refuse everything and still do the ritual at the end, though, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because the entire story basically goes like this. This is the entire plot. You have a fucking fishing village in the ass end of nowhere that goes through a famine, but they basically manage to somehow capture the Leviathan and start eating its meat, which is why everyone's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They've been eating the flesh of an ancient one. They create a cult because of that. The wife of the cult leader has the ability to see like things that he shouldn't see, which is why she accidentally makes that painting of the lurker and actually changes it to our dimension, which is a big mistake. But another thing that she sees is that the person who can awaken Cthulhu if they decide to go through with the ritual is you. And everything is an elaborate scheme to get you in the island and get you to take place in the ritual. And I don't remember there being anything particularly special about the main character. But yeah, you're just apparently you're the key to having the ritual work. And then the rest of the story is just going through with that. And the biggest problem that I have with the entire game is that you only have 4 times where dynamically stuff. With that, I mean you have 3 scenes with the lurker, one of which is just kind of a puzzle. And you have the cult scene, as well as guess the asylum scene where you have to stay hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of those 5 sections of the game, there's never anything actively hunting you down. You're just walking through set pieces and reading papers.
Yeah.
There's no actual horror elements. There's only horror elements in 5 parts. And they're 5 relatively short sequences.
it's more like a storytelling game.
No,
Yeah.
it's just an adventure game. But those
Yeah.
all Call of Cthulhu games were just story.
Well, the problem that I have with that is the following. They did the right thing with the lurker. They really shouldn't have the lurker be something that becomes your main antagonist and shows up a lot. Because in any Lovecraft story, when anything that isn't human shows up, generally speaking, you're fucked. They keep it to a minimum because either
Like,
you die or you get away by like the.
If actual Cthulhu shows up, you actually just go insane. There's nothing you can actually.
Yeah, basically. And he manages to escape the lurker, like by the skin of his teeth, twice. And the second time is particularly bad because it's like the one thing that I like about the lurker concept, it's that once he found out that it existed, it could see him, and he becomes an anchor for the lurker, which is why the lurker can show up and hunt him down. That's why no one should ever see the painting, because then you know it exists and it can see you. That's a really good horror concept.
But I was afraid of
And they didn't overuse it. The problem is that there was literally no other horror pieces besides that.
Listen to me, Edward Pierce.
And no real other sources of conflict besides, I guess, the part with the zombies, which was kind of lackluster as well. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you noticed how useless the fight stat was.
Must stop this madness.
Because you never use it.
I can't make that choice.
You use it like 3
This will be
times.
your decision.
Twice to skip a puzzle. And once in a cutscene where you can use the fight option to get out of it, like with an advantage. Or you could have just have high investigation, which is the best stat, because it also opens locks. And if you know enough facts, you can go get through every sequence in the game without really needing to roll dice. The systems were just not very well built. There weren't a lot of actual horror pieces. The game was really short. All the endings are pretty bad.
I'm gonna try and get the ending where I do the ritual, because
You
for
can just load.
yeah, it just
like
loads.
Game, yeah.
Who's doing it already?
I'm just getting through the cutscene now to the choice.
The ending with the ritual does look cool, and it's probably the coolest looking. In fact, the entire scene leading up to the ritual is like a pretty good spectacle. It's just the game itself isn't very good. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but as you're going up the steps to the actual cape where all the cultists are, if you look at the horizon, you can slowly see, like, the
tentacles
clouds, like,
stuff.
rising. You can start seeing tentacles, start seeing, like, the stars, like, of space.
It looks so
Like,
nice. The stars are so well done, but they're so hidden as well. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, but it's a really cool idea that they came up with there with the ritual. It's just that literally everything else about the game is pretty bad.
And the floating, like the pillars that are broken and are just still floating in the same position.
Yeah. Again, this game, I was really looking forward to, and it really let me down, and I'm really sad.
Let's see how the ritual looks like. I do like the tentacles in the background though, that looks really cool. Was that supposed to represent the whirlpool underneath him or something? Uh-oh.
For a shitty bone knife. That's very sharp.
Well, it has 2 blades, so I guess. It's probably not gonna show us Cthulhu, is it?
Yes.
Okay. That's a big tentacle. Oh, okay, that's Cthulhu.
That's what she said.
So it did show us Cthulhu, but only shortly. The Grand Shaman of Gaming. What does it show us afterwards, though? Oh, another cutscene. Let's see. They're fighting amongst each other.
Yeah, fun fact, once you summon Cthulhu, you probably go mad. Life doesn't just go on as normal once you summon Cthulhu.
Yeah, I thought so. One is eating himself. That's the woman, isn't it?
Probably. Since we're in a first person view of that person all of a sudden.
Oh look, that's the toy. So there's blood. Lots of blood. Yeah, it was the woman. Is there a third ending? Only if you have occultism, probably.
There's an ending for and there's an ending if you have just high sanity, and I think if you've researched enough facts, you can stop her from just doing the things to begin with.
I only had another option, which was it's over, and then you had the choice of performing the occultism and the counter.
Maybe if you have high enough occultism, you can just do that option. I don't remember. It's been a
I don't have enough of that. I looked it over, so I guess
yeah,
that's...
you're only getting a limited amount of occultism throughout the game, and I think to get that ending, at the start of the game, all of your stat points need to go into which it doesn't really specify at the start. It can actually start with bonus points there, but you can.
Well, I guess that's the ending then. I've got the summon ending and the counter ritual. So, quitting this game and installing it then.